Anissa Matlock is an actor, artist, activist, and as of recent, an independent journalist. She has been a part of projects like AMC's The Walking Dead, The Gifted, The Residents, and more. Let's get to know more about Anissa. Anissa, how are you?
I'm good.
That's so good. I'm so happy that you took your time to interview with us today. I just want to talk about how on your Instagram you talk about how I collect hobbies and pursue my passions. And everything that you've been doing is just one, inspiring, and two, it makes me go, wow. How did you get started in acting and all the stuff that you do?
How did I get started? Wow. I, from a really young age, I always really liked entertaining and making people laugh. So I still remember my parents bringing home their first camcorder. And as soon as I realized that if I stood in front of that lens, like it would end up on the TV, it was just the coolest thing. So yeah, from then on, I just kind of started performing.
Mm-hmm. And you started out from what I read, was it back in theaters where you started, and then you transitioned to TV. What made you want to transition from on stage to on television?
I think being on TV and film was always the goal for me, but theater is more accessible, and also it's just a great training foundation. So yeah, I started with like backyard play. Sorry, I live by a train and it's about to come by. I don't know if you can hear it or not.
No, we're good.
Okay, cool. I started with like backyard plays and community theater, and then I actually went to school for theater.
Mm-hmm. And as of recent, I've been following you. You have actually been acting as an independent journalist covering Black Lives Matter protests on Instagram. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. It's a huge thing, one, to take on by yourself, and two, to really be on the front lines of what's going on. What has your experience been starting to do that?
It's been a bit of a mixed bag. So back when it first started, we weren't really sure what was going to happen with the TV industry. And, we were all just kind of stuck inside. And then these protests started, and I heard about the very first one in Atlanta the night before, and decided, yeah, I'm gonna go. So I started as more of a active participant in protests, and then sort of slowly shifted my focus over to documenting and giving more informative reports about what I was witnessing for people who couldn't be there on the ground. So when I say it's a mixed bag, it's a whole lot of new experiences and different energies that I feel like I'm constantly having to like process and navigate and figure out where I fit into all of it. And the experience that I've had personally with police and the National Guard and all of that was very different from the first week to just this past week, or week before last, whereas like it's a whole lot of excessive force, I feel, that was being used during that first week. A whole lot of gas being used in Atlanta with very little provocation, just a lot, and a lot on the side of protesters as well. So one thing that I've noticed is not everyone is going to have the same methods of protest, and sometimes that can cause disagreements. Even though we're all working toward the same goal, people have different ways of going about it, and each has its merits, I think. But yeah, as far as Portland goes, because I just spent a week and a half in Portland, Oregon. That's a whole other animal. They've been at it for, I think, 85 days straight. They've been out there protesting at their precincts, at the Justice Center. And the police department out there is brutal. There was a temporary restraining order issued to protect press and legal observers. And every night I was out there, I saw violations of that. I experienced violations of that. people clearly marked press being brutalized, the same as protesters. So it's interesting. It's new, it's crazy, but I'm glad to kind of be there as eyes on the ground to share what I'm seeing.
And on your Instagram on June 4th, you said, my body is affected by tremors anytime I hear a loud bang or pop. This is new. It is entirely involuntary. What is this like for you? But also, do you think this is going to impact your job in entertainment when it comes to your acting, and your art?
So that was right after, I believe, the first week of protests in Atlanta, where hearing, gas canisters and rubber bullets and pepper balls and flashbangs, stuff like that go off is all very new. And it's not at all like you would think, from watching war movies and stuff like that. It's very different to be there experiencing it. So those symptoms of what I'm being told is like a form of PTSD is it's new. It's interesting. They have calmed down a bit. On the 4th of July, I did have some interesting reactions to fireworks if I wasn't expecting them. Like if I wasn't watching them go off in front of me and they popped behind me, it was still kind of a weird physical reaction to that. But yeah, as far as how it will affect my career, I feel like it's all stuff that I can use, just like any other experience in life, positive or negative. It's all part of my toolkit per se now. So it's all an experience that I can draw from for future work.
And I think that's really fascinating. You're not using it as it's going to prevent me from doing works in certain more dramatic scenes. You're like, I can actually use this experience now to be more authentic with that. That's awesome. I read that your first role was on AMC's The Walking Dead in 2015. The Walking Dead is my favorite show of all time, and I just want to know what it was like to be casted on a show of that caliber.
That being my first job, I was terrified. I'll be completely honest. I just wanted to do everything right and like not step on any toes. And it took a seasoned actress who she played Mary in Terminus. So we didn't have any direct scenes together, but she was on set when I was on set, and between takes she talked to me and like calmed me down and kind of helped me through rehearsals and stuff like that, so kind of having a mentor there to like remind you to breathe was nice. But as far as the vibe goes and all of that, they were very welcoming. They're like a family, that crew. Yeah, it was cool because I was a very big fan of the show as well when I booked it, so I cried.
Yeah. And when you got that role, more roles started coming together, like such as you became a character in a Marvel series, The Gifted, Porcelain. What was that like? Now you're a part of, went from Walking Dead to being one of the top comic franchises in the world.
That one was exciting as well. Like I've wanted to be a mutant since before the first X-Men movies came out, so that was definitely a dream. Makeup for that role was 5 hours every day, and it took another 2 hours to take it back off. So needless to say, I got very close with the special effects makeup team. We're all very talented, very funny individuals. If we weren't cracking jokes, we'd have been bored all day.
Of course.
But it was a good experience. And then the cast and crew and being directed by Len Wiseman was just incredible. Yeah.
And going from being in a drama role to more sci-fi roles, what is the transition like with playing what is the transition to playing many different types of characters across the spectrum of acting? Like for you, how do you channel your art to making sure that you play those roles effectively?
I think that a lot of that comes from just being familiar with genre. So I love sci-fi, I love horror. So just being familiar with the tones of those genres and how they differ and what audiences sort of expect, that helps me to inform my choices and how I approach different roles.
Mm-hmm. And what has been your favorite role to portray on TV and in film?
It's hard to pick one because they each kind of come with their own unique experience. And each sort of teaches me something that maybe I didn't previously know about myself. So I mean, I love doing the special effects makeup, so Porcelain is definitely up there.
Yeah.
But I also kind of like exploring a grungier, like sort of baddie side of myself too. So I really liked working on Reprisal for Hulu. So it was a one-off, kind of role, but yeah, it was a fun scene to do, and my first time dying on TV. So
and what is that like, also dying on TV? Like, what is the vibe of what is the energy of the room when your character is dying, when the director yells cut? Is everyone like, oh, that was so good, or like everyone's laughing, or tell me about that?
I think it every set's different. So that one in particular was like, cool, that was good, let's do it again, like very great, we'll make minor adjustments here, or another one just like that. It was very straightforward business but like I've been on independent film sets where people do crack jokes and stuff like that, so it just depends on kind of the environment.
Yeah. And you have a few new projects coming up in 2020, or if they have yet to be released. Beast. Tell me about that.
So Beast we actually shot 2 years ago, and it premiered at Sundance earlier this year, which with COVID and everything, it feels like a lifetime ago already. But that was an amazing experience. That was my first time at Sundance, so first time having a film in Sundance, and it was also my first supporting role in a film. So yeah, that one is one that's very special to me. Danny Madden is a brilliant director, brilliant writer. The cast is just incredible, and it's built of relatively unknown actors. So when you're watching, you really get the sense of like you're peeking into these three individuals' lives, and just kind of watching them grow and experience life and trauma and tragedy and love, and it's a beautiful film.
Yeah. And you also have another film, 2020, Greenland, right?
Yeah. So that was a bucket list film for me, honestly. I got to work with Gerard Butler, who I have been watching his work since Phantom of the Opera, so that was amazing. And then it's also a disaster movie, which has been on my bucket list since seeing Deep Impact, which, fun fact, Denise Crosby, who plays Mary in The Walking Dead, who was kind of like my set mentor, is in that movie. So it's like full circle, all these things. So Greenland, that I believe is supposed to come out this month or next month.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I read
should have
only
brushed
in cinema.
up on all that.
It said only in cinema, didn't give a date. So
Gotcha. So it must be like being pushed back still with, COVID restrictions and all that. But I am very much looking forward to that one. It's a fun scene.
So cool. And what do you think what's next for you? Like, you've been growing as an actor. What are you excited to do next? Like, after 2020, what is like the next role that you really want to shoot for?
Well, I do have another booking. I was like 2 days away from flying out to work on a new show that I can't say much about yet, but 2 days away, and then COVID-19. But it is still on the table. It's still happening as soon as it's safe to move forward with production. So that's my next big thing in the industry. Other than that, what I'm working on is more documentation, more reporting. Next weekend is the March on Washington on the 28th in DC. and me and a bunch of my other independent journalist colleagues are making a trip out there. So I think there's going to be 6 of us out there on the ground documenting history. So.
Oh gosh, Anissa, thank you so much for this interview. It means a lot. Everybody, don't forget to follow Anissa at Matlock Artists on Instagram. Anissa, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You
Yeah.
too.